Block party turning up the volume. Miller on the slide. Game, set, match.
Spectacular crowd inside Mackey Arena. Purdue builds a huge lead.
It's all! The hammer! Purdue is going to beat Tennessee here at the Broadway Block Party.
It is down. History for Dave Shondell. The all-time wins leader at Purdue.
Welcome back to the Dig City Podcast, brought to you by Franciscan Health, the official medical provider of Purdue Athletics. I'm Cory Palm, and he's head coach Dave Shondell. And, Coach, two more wins to talk about this week on the show, and a couple big matches to preview ahead. First, off the top, some news that broke yesterday. We're taping this Tuesday morning. Taylor Anderson, Big Ten Setter of the Week, a well-deserved honor after a very impressive showing for her.
Yeah, Taylor's had a tremendous season for us so far. She's just been playing with great confidence and great purpose. A totally different player than she was a year ago, in my opinion. So we're really pleased with what she's bringing to the table and the fact that there's a lot more there that she can do. When we recruited Taylor out of San Antonio, we knew she was a tremendous athlete and just a great human being. And now she's starting to find the competitive spirit, the confidence to lead her team and do some things that in the past she was a little bit reluctant to do. And so I think, we've told her a couple of times that if your setter improves by 10%, the entire team improves 10%. And she's taken that to heart and really working hard to get better. Her set selection has been almost perfect.
Okay.
Hardly ever is there a situation where she makes a set and you wonder, what were you doing? Why did you set that person when you could have set this person? She makes great decisions. She's been much better at going against the flow, meaning if she's moving to the right, she can set the ball back. She used to be a very conservative setter. Now she's being a lot more, I think, assertive and aggressive because she knows she can and knows she should. Mm-hmm. So it's been a lot of fun to watch her progress during this fall season.
Last week we talked a little bit about when attackers decide on what swing they're going to execute and where they're going to try. At what point do setters decide, where am I going with this? There are certain plays, there are certain tendencies. Obviously there's things within the scout that you're looking for going into a match, but in the moment.
No, one of the things that we try to do is give our setters free reign of what they're doing. There are a lot of coaches that want to call every play set for their people and go through a pregame where in every rotation there's a definite plan. I think that's not a good way to go. I've always felt like you've got to develop your setters to have that ability and then put that confidence in them to be the decision maker, to be the floor general. But to answer the question, every rotation she should have an idea based on who the blockers are across the net, based on what the score is and what the value of that particular play is, what hitter is going to be in the best situation to score. And then after the ball's passed, then things are redefined. I mean, if it's a great pass, then you can get the ball to the person that you feel like in an ideal situation she should get the ball. But if you're 5 feet off the net or 10 feet off the net or 15 feet off the net, it changes. And, one thing that we're really trying to encourage Taylor to do is to be more aggressive offensively. And it takes a lot of pressure off your front row players if your setter can score points. Mm-hmm. She can score points. She just doesn't like to do it. And it's something we've been pushing her to do ever since she got here. She's doing more of it now than she was, but I would love one day to wake up and look at the box score and see that Taylor Anderson had 15 kills. Because I think she'd get 15 kills anytime she wants.
Yeah.
When you're long and athletic and you can go up like a gazelle around the net and be so graceful that you look like you're going to set the ball and then you throw the ball down. Mm-hmm. And she can do that. It's just not really in her DNA at this point. So we're trying to, I'm not sure if you can change that or not. That would be a science situation, which is out of my wheelhouse. But we're trying to get her, we're pushing her hard to be more offensive.
Well, we got so used to Haley Bush, who was one of the best I've ever seen at that and disguising, the attack and
well, you weren't here when Renata Dargan was here.
That's true. Renata was a little before.
Renata Dargan was here for 3 years. We got here, she had just finished her freshman year. And she was the best of the best. Just could score points a lot of different ways, and we needed it on that particular team. And there are certainly times we need it now from Taylor, and we hope that we'll get it.
Well, it gives the defense you're going up against so much more to think about. Okay, you can't just execute your block. You can't just back your block. You've also got to diversify the attack there.
And there's two rotations that she's up there when Kenna Woolard is up there, and people are starting to really recognize, Kenna Woolard's a pretty good player, and they want to release block. They want to have their middles flowing out that way. So if they have to hold on the setter, they can't have two up on her. So there's reasons why we're encouraging her to be more aggressive.
It's a season-long chess match.
Yeah, I guess.
We're a little over halfway through. Let's talk about results of the week. It started with a great showing down at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, 4-set win over Indiana to retain the Monon Spike. We talked a little bit about bringing the Monon Spike in and setting it right here on the table last week off air, but elected against that. Thing's heavy. We left it.
Plus, you got to move on to the next match.
That's true.
Pretty quickly in this league.
That is very true. What'd you like? First of all, 6,500 people in Gainbridge, a nice crowd. Look great on television. We were watching the volleyball match while producing a soccer match out at Folk Field last Thursday. What'd you like about your team's performance against the Hoosiers?
I thought we were very, very focused. Came to play. I think that in all the years I've been here, Purdue has been really, really good at being ready to play against Indiana. And I thought that we did a great job. Came out of the gate with a pretty good defensive plan and slowed down Indiana's very fast offense. They run the ball out to their hitters as fast as anybody in the country. And we had a couple days to work on that. And that was effective. And then they made some adjustments, and they started getting the ball to their middles and recognized that we were not paying as much attention to their middles as we were maybe their outside hitters. And the middle started to go off on us a little bit, so then we had to kind of, adjust that situation. But I thought it was a really good match. I thought we had a lot of people play at a high level. Indiana is a really good volleyball team, even though they're young. They have a lot of good arms. They play really hard. They brought a freshman setter in from Serbia that is a terrific player that has changed kind of the way that they play the game over in Bloomington. But the highlight for me was that what a great job, number one, Indiana did in getting that match played at Gainbridge. But then the people in Indianapolis and the Indy Sports Corp in particular really embraced this match. And it felt like it was a big deal when you were down there. They did everything possible to make you feel like it was your men's basketball team going down and playing in the challenge down there that they have. So I enjoyed it. It was nice to win. Somebody asked me after the match, how big of a deal is it to beat Indiana? Well, it's really a big deal when Indiana's RPI is in the top 10 in the country.
Absolutely.
And they have a record that's going to help your RPI. And so it gave us a good boost and helped us as far as NCAA tournament situation is concerned. And if you saw that, which I'm sure you did, the NCAA released their midway predictions for what the NCAA seeds might look like, and we were in pretty good position.
Yes.
So, but that win helped. Over there, other wins helped as well. The SMU win, the Kansas win, Tennessee win, some of those wins, UCLA, USC, so forth. So we've been piling them up. I think we've knocked off 6 top 25 teams now.
Yep.
If not 7. Is it 6?
I believe it's 6 because
Okay.
Tennessee wasn't ranked when we beat them, but they are ranked now, so it's kind of a number.
But anyway, it was a nice win in a good environment. And had that match not been played on Thursday of sectional week for high school volleyball in the state of Indiana, I think you'd have had 5,000-6,000 more people there. But we didn't have that opening for that match to be that on a different date. So kudos to Indiana for making that happen. Steve Aird thought really stuck his neck out and did that, and I think it benefited both programs.
Definitely, and I know you've taken this seriously your entire career. It's a great game. And the state of Indiana loves volleyball, but it still needs to be, grown and promoted. And you need to do things like giving up a home match once in a while to play at a neutral site to try and spread.
Well, and I think the match was so well played by both teams that anybody that attended that match would love to come back and see more. And now it's just a matter of picking a date where you can get some more of the younger people high school age kids to come out and participate.
You see a situation where maybe a non-conference event earlier in the season might happen there, but that's
well, that's in the works.
Other discussions.
Yeah, that's already in the works.
Awesome. Turn the page pretty quickly. Back on the road. Recurring theme here in the middle of the season, out at Rutgers, and sometimes the best thing you can do is just go take care of business. Do what you're intended to do, and take your win and go home.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like it was just taking care of business. It seemed like it was a real grind. I think from my vantage point, whenever you go to Rutgers, it's a grind. It's never easy. Because everyone in the world assumes that you're going to go out there and beat Rutgers and come home. And in the back of your mind, you know that might not happen. And they played us very close for 2 sets, 25-21.
21 both sets, yep.
And they had leads at the midway point in both of those. But at some point in time, you just got to put confidence in your team and believe that they're going to get the job done. And they did. They did a really good job of blocking against our left side hitters. Certainly their game plan was to slow down Kenna Woolard. They put their lineup together to make that happen, and they did a pretty good job. But they've got some really good athletes. This is the most athletic team I've ever seen from Rutgers. They have some really physical bodies and good athletes, good jumpers, and they did a good job defending against our left side, in particular Kenna Woolard. But Grace Heaney had nearly a career match, you know, just a terrific match for Grace on the right side. I think Cash Anderson actually finished up with a really good match, and Taylor Anderson, I thought, made great decisions for us. So we got out of there, we snuck out of there with a win, and it's always nice to have that flight home and know that, you know, you've won 2 matches that weekend.
To have other attackers step up, because you're right, they set their defense to contain Kenna, and it worked. 9 kills, 7 attack errors on the match for Kenna. Limited sort of volume. She only had 27 swings on the match. Was hitting negative, you know, in the middle of the second set. Just to see other players step up has got to make you feel, you know, really good going forward. When Cash Anderson, Dior Charles, very efficient on the attack, and Grace just continues to rise.
Yeah, there just aren't very many teams in the country that can put a defense out that can stop everybody.
Yeah, right.
You know, you just don't have that kind of personnel. We don't have that kind of personnel. So, you know, you pick and choose your battles, and they chose theirs, and I think it was a great learning lesson for Kenna. You know, Kenna kind of got a little narrow vision on what shots she wanted to hit and went away from some of the shots that she hits extremely well. But that happens, you know, and it was only tough match she's had all year. I mean, Kenna has been an All-American for us this year, and she'll continue to be that way as we move forward. But Rutgers, you know, game planned well, and it kept them in the match for a while, but we found a way to persevere.
That's what's the most important. 6-2 now in conference, and 15-3 overall. We've got a couple big matches coming up this week. Back on the road Friday night. We'll talk about that game in Champaign after the break.
The Dig City podcast is brought to you by Franciscan Health, the exclusive healthcare provider for Purdue Athletics. Franciscan, inspiring health, working for a better tomorrow. Go to franciscanhealth.org for more information. Now, back to the show.
Boilermakers back on the road Friday night when they head over to Huff Hall to take on the Fighting Illini. 7 o'clock start. It's 7 Central on Big Ten Plus. 8 o'clock in the Eastern time zone. So if you're planning to go that direction, don't make the mistake that so many make. Remember the time zone.
Big basketball game that night too.
There is.
Down at Kentucky.
It's early though. It starts at 6.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
So they can watch both of them then. Oh, that works out great.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fighting Illini stung you a little bit here earlier this season in Mackey. Is there a revenge factor to this game, or is that not playing into it?
That's a question for your athletes.
Okay.
You know, they're the ones that got beat. We played Illinois in a match in Mackey Arena, the second match that we played that first week of Big Ten season, and we knew that they were a better team than what they had been. They're 7-1 in conference play. You may have just reported that. I wasn't paying attention. But
he does that a lot.
They They won I think they won the first set. We won the second easily. Third was back and forth. They won that. We had a big lead in the fourth and let it slip away, and they escaped with a victory. But they don't have a lot of weaknesses. They've got a setter that transferred in from Florida State that's only about 5'7", but she makes them go. She really makes them go, and on that particular night was a big factor in their win, I thought. They're big. They're one of the biggest teams in the Big Ten. They're like 6'5" on the right side. In the middle, I think they're 6'4" and 6'4". They got a left side at 6'4". The other left side's about 6'1". Of course, then their setters a little smallish for the Big Ten. But there's not a lot of easy ways to score against this team. The setter plays great defense. They've got some other kids that can handle the ball well for them. And you go to Huff Hall, which is a tough place to win. But positive thing is, and you know this because you're a stat guy, we haven't lost away from home.
That's true.
This season. We've played very well. Our kids have been focused when we've gone on the road. And whether it be on a neutral floor, like when we played Tennessee down in Nashville, or if we've gone to Indiana and played at Gamebridge, or wherever else we might be that wasn't here, we found ways to win, and we hope that will continue. That's a great trend to have.
It sure
when
is.
your team can go on the road and play at a high level. And I do like the fact that you have great focus when you're on the road.
Friday night against Illinois, and then you return home finally for the first time in a couple weeks, first time forever it feels like, to take on Minnesota. Now, Illinois Friday night is the first time you've seen a team
Twice.
for the second time this year. You only get 3 of those.
Right. I mean, unless they made a lot of changes. And from what I've watched from their matches last week, pretty much the same personnel that they're playing, that we played here. And players don't change. Like our players haven't changed dramatically since we played Illinois. We hope that we won't, blow a big lead in any particular game. So, but Illinois is a good team, and our game plan will change some. You don't throw the same game plan at somebody that you did the time before. You'll try to figure out the things that worked and the adjustments that you made that were effective. But that's a win that we really need to get if we want to continue this trend to where we got a possibility of having a great seed in the NCAA tournament. Then you've got to beat the Illinois and you've got to beat the Minnesotas. So it's a big weekend for us.
Illinois not in the top 25 this week of the AVCA poll.
They're knocking on the door.
They are a top 20.
They were in my top 25.
Yeah,
When I turned my poll
I
in,
believe
they
that.
were maybe 22, 23.
They've won 5 in a row, so that will be a great match. 7 o'clock, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, Friday night. And then the Gophers come to town. This is the first time we'll see them of a double play against Minnesota. Tell us a little bit about that Minnesota squad that you know so far. They're 5-3 in conference action, right in the thick of things.
Got a kid named Hansen that's a left side hitter that plays at a very high level above the net. That is where you start when you play against them. They've had some injuries this year, like everybody, but they've probably had a little tougher luck than most people in the Big Ten. They've had maybe 3 knee ACL type injuries that have affected a middle and at least one left side. But they still are putting a very good product on the floor. I know last weekend they may have lost to Oregon, but they beat Washington, or the other way around. I'm trying to figure out how that went. Both Penn State and Minnesota went out and played Oregon and Washington, and they all split.
They all split.
I just can't remember which way it was, even though I watched the matches. But Minnesota's always been one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the Big Ten as long as I've been here, and they will continue to be that way. They provide the resources necessary. Minnesota's a great volleyball state. And we've had some good battles with them. We haven't won many times up there, but we've held our own when they've come down here, and we'll have to do that again. Of course, Lourdes Myers is now with Minnesota. Lourdes spent 5 years here at Purdue, and she is playing really well in the middle for them at this point. So it'll be good to see Lourdes, and hopefully we can play well against this Minnesota team.
Definitely, they did lose to Oregon in 4 and then beat Washington in 4. Yeah, I was going to ask about Lourdes being back on campus, a Purdue graduate, and exercising her 5th year at Minnesota.
Playing people that have been in your program will happen more and more often.
It will,
as time goes on, because it's going to be with the portal and revenue sharing. It's going to be more like Major League Baseball than what we thought college sports were going to be like. So that's just the way it is. But Lourdes Myers, just to wrap that up, gave us 5 really good years. She had a couple years where she didn't play, had a red shirt, had a medical red shirt, and then played 3 years for us on some teams that had good success. And so we'll always appreciate what she did.
Boilermakers and the Gophers, 1 o'clock on Sunday. That match will also be on Big Ten Plus. Get out to Holloway Gym. It's homecoming weekend. That is the volleyball version of homecoming Sunday afternoon. Anything planned around the game? Do you know that you know about, or you
No.
stay out of that nonsense?
No, I don't know much about anything. That's not our alumni day. I think our alumni day is when we bring Indiana back in here for the Mackey Arena match, the last match of the season around Thanksgiving. We hope that we'll get a great crowd. I think that this team is representing our university at a level that all of our alumni should be proud of. The way that they have just played with great purpose and given us everything they've got, and the cohesion that this team has and plays with together. I know our alumni are proud of what they've done. So hopefully we'll have a great group that will come back for us on that. I believe it's a Saturday.
It is Saturday night.
Saturday night. Is it a night? Is it a night game?
7 o'clock.
Okay.
Yep.
So then the next day is the NCAA tournament draw. So it'll be a big match that we'll play right into what the committee will be looking at, because I know Indiana and Purdue should be NCAA tournament teams if things continue to go the way that they are. So that will be a big match for the committee.
For sure. You alluded to it a little bit when I was stumbling through the transfer discussion a few minutes ago. Has that changed what you look for when you're recruiting players, when you're putting together a team?
That's a question from our crowd today.
It is a question from our crowd today. We have a special guest in the room.
Yeah.
She fed that one to me.
No, I think our recruiting has changed. I can't speak for what everybody else is doing, but the way that we're recruiting is we're going to continue to try to find great volleyball athletes that are coming out of high school, if we can. Okay, I mean, they've got to be special. If they're going to play in the Big Ten, they've got to be able to hit a lot of boxes. But if you don't get them, you don't stress out about it like you used to, because now you have the portal. And we saw what happened this year with the portal. When we needed to go there, we did, and I thought we hit a home run.
Yep.
Now, did we get the 5 best players that were on the portal? No, we got 5 best players to fit what we needed that we could get at Purdue, and they've worked out great. And they're so thrilled to be here, which has been a treat. And we also have the resources to be able now, with the revenue sharing, that we're going to be able to get people. I mean, there's some people that go on the portal, but they don't have the funds, to share. That's going to be able to help, when you start negotiating and somebody's looking at, well, I got this situation, well, this group's got money and this group doesn't have money, or they don't have as much. And I think we're going to be very competitive in that field. So because of that, I'm not losing sleep because we didn't get 4 commitments in 2027.
Right.
All right. But what we look for, again, are great athletes who are great people that are fitting what we're going to need, and understand that Purdue is a great place to come and be a college athlete.
What I think is so interesting, too, is like you just said, you're not looking for you want the best players you can get, of course, but you're not looking for the top 4 players necessarily if they're not going to be a fit for what we do strategically or what the culture is here, or it's still a larger piece that everyone needs to fit into. Yeah,
and when you get high school athletes, sometimes it's hard to know who the racks are going to be.
Yeah.
You have we talked about this before. You might have one conversation. You can't talk to these kids until June 15th prior to their junior year, and you better have an offer ready for them if you want them to come to your school on that first conversation.
Yep.
So how well do you really know them? But when you go on the portal, you can watch, for example, I watched Lindsay Miller play every match she played in 3 years on tape. I talked to her coaches that she had at those colleges to find out what kind of an individual was she, and was she a great teammate, and what kind of a worker was she, and how did she help the chemistry. You can't find that out about a high school player as easily as you can about somebody who's already 20 years old, 19 years old, 21 years old, whatever it might be.
Right.
So I think there's some real advantages to go on the portal, but we will continue to also recruit out of the club at high school level.
So fascinating to watch how this has all continued to shift and change and develop over time. Let's talk briefly. We mentioned, that in this week's rankings, Purdue volleyball seems to be in pretty good shape. Number 8 in the midway seeding that the NCAA released. Top 10 in RPI and the Massey.
Wouldn't mind being 7, or even maybe 10. I'm not real excited about being in the same bracket with Nebraska.
For sure.
If we could help that. But, I think Nebraska's head and shoulders above everybody else. I've said it all year because I know what they've got. And doesn't mean we're going to be afraid to go to Nebraska and play them.
For sure.
It's just the fact that they've got a lot of talent, and the next best team might be Texas, might be Pitt, might be Kentucky. I feel like, anybody else can match up better with those teams than they can right now with Nebraska. But, we'll let the committee make those decisions, and we'll accept whatever happens when we get to that point in time. Right now, the goal is just to get in the tournament.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. Okay, we got to make sure we win a lot of matches down the road to get to where we want to be.
Definitely. And the other thing that I thought was fascinating about the midway point pre-seeds that came out was that it's very Big Ten heavy. Certainly, slots 13 through 16 are very Big Ten heavy. There's a lot of opponents. There's a lot of volleyball still to be played, and results are going to determine a lot.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much it can change, but if the committee was to go today and pick the 64 teams, there are probably 11 that would come out of the Big Ten, which is great. I mean, that's what we've been working towards, and that was helped because some of our teams that don't normally fare well in non-conference because they've scheduled tough teams didn't schedule as tough, and so their records are so much better. And you mentioned that last week, that there was only 2 teams at that point in time that had losing records. I still think that's probably pretty accurate. That the teams scheduled well, and so when you start doing this RPI formula, it helps everybody when that happens.
It does.
In our league in particular.
Right. Certainly in the best league in America. And we'll plant our flag in the Big Ten being the best league in America. The ACC's having a nice year. But.
Yeah, ACC, SEC, Big 12. I mean, they're all going to have 4 or 5 teams make the field.
Boilermakers at Illinois Friday night, and then home against Minnesota on Sunday. Coach, anything else before we let you go back to your film study?
No, just looking forward. We always have a good crowd at Illinois. A lot of Boilermakers over there, and I'm hoping that they'll fill Huff Hall and make some noise for us because we need them. And then back home, I know it's a sellout, but how about let's get him butts in seats?
Yep.
Sellout's one thing, and I used to be we'd have a sellout, but then they would still release some more tickets on game day, because they just knew that there'd be some fans that didn't show up. I love that formula. I'm not sure if we're still using it or not. I hope that we are. But I want to see people in every seat to greet Minnesota when they come here.
It'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
It'll make a big difference against a top 20 team like the Gophers. It's Halloween in Holloway is the event going on Sunday.
Awesome.
So trick-or-treating, National Pumpkin Day apparently as well, according to the website. Get there early, be loud, and cheer on your Boilermakers. Coach, good luck.
Thanks, Cory. Appreciate it.
Boiler up.
Boiler up.